Are you kidding me right now? WWE just pulled off the most disrespectful return in recent memory, and I'm about to expose exactly why this is a slap in the face to every single fan who's been watching SmackDown. Jacob Fatu, the same man who was supposedly suspended indefinitely for going rogue, just waltzed back into the company like nothing happened, and management rewarded his chaos by letting him destroy one of the hardest working superstars on the roster. Drew McIntyre, a man who's clawed his way back from injury, survived betrayal after betrayal, and carried entire storylines on his back, gets obliterated in 3 minutes by someone who shouldn't even be there. And the worst part? Creative is clearly telling us that discipline means nothing in WWE anymore. You can assault officials, ignore authority, vanish for weeks, and your reward is a red carpet return with a marquee victim gift wrapped for you. But here's what WWE doesn't want you talking about, and it's the real story behind this chaos. Jacob Fatu's music hit at exactly 9:47 p.m. Eastern, and the arena absolutely erupted. Now, I need you to understand something. This wasn't your typical pop. The confusion in that building was palpable. Fans were looking at each other wondering if this was real, if this was sanctioned, if someone in the production truck had lost their minds. Because the last time we saw the Samoan werewolf, he was being escorted out of the building by security after that vicious post-match assault that left 3 referees injured and 1 announcer with a concussion. The suspension was supposed to send a message. Nick Aldis went on record, on camera, saying that kind of behavior wouldn't be tolerated under his watch as SmackDown general manager. He used words like accountability and consequences. He looked directly into the camera and promised the WWE universe that no superstar was above the rules. That was 6 weeks ago, so explain to me how Jacob Fatu gets to return without a single acknowledgement of that suspension? No apology, no fine announced, no probationary period, just his music, his entrance, and a guaranteed victim waiting in the ring. It's like WWE is gaslighting its own audience, hoping we'd just forget that they made a huge deal about punishing this man for his actions. And who was that guaranteed victim? Drew McIntyre, a former WWE champion who's been on an absolute tear since returning from his legitimate shoulder injury. The Scottish Warrior had just finished cutting one of the most passionate promos of his career, talking about his journey back to the main event scene, about proving he still belongs at the top of the card. He was vulnerable. He was real. He was connecting with that audience in a way that only Drew McIntyre can. Then Fatu's music hits. Now, quick question for the comment section, and I really want to know what you think about this. Do you believe WWE intentionally made Drew look weak here, or is this part of a bigger storyline we're not seeing yet? Drop your thoughts below, because this decision has layers of problems we need to unpack. The attack itself was absolutely brutal. Fatu didn't walk to the ring, he charged like a man possessed. Drew barely had time to turn around before a running hip attack sent him crashing into the corner. And here's the thing that's got me heated: Drew tried to fight back. He threw those signature overhead throws, he went for his patented Claymore setup, he did everything a top-tier superstar should do in that situation. It didn't matter. Jacob Fatu was on a completely different level. Every counter Drew attempted was stuffed. Every comeback was cut off with vicious precision. The moonsault, that absolutely insane moonsault from a man Fatu's size, landed with such impact that you could feel it through the screen. 300+ pounds of Samoan fury rotating through the air and crashing down on Drew's chest. The medical staff is still checking on Drew as I'm recording this. But the moonsault wasn't even the finish. Fatu pulled Drew up, positioned him in the corner, and delivered not 1, not 2, but 4 running hip attacks that left Drew completely unconscious. The referee called for the bell even though this wasn't an official match. Security finally rushed the ring, but by then the damage was done. Drew McIntyre, a man whose main event WrestleMania, who's held world championships, who's beaten the absolute best this industry has to offer, was stretchered out of the arena. Let that sink in. Stretchered out, because WWE decided Jacob Fatu needed to look like an unstoppable monster at Drew's expense. Here's where this gets really interesting, and this is the part WWE is desperately hoping you don't connect the dots on. Roman Reigns has been suspiciously quiet since losing the Undisputed Championship. The Bloodline has been in complete disarray with Solo Sikoa trying to claim leadership. Paul Heyman has been making cryptic appearances. And now, conveniently, Jacob Fatu returns with a level of aggression we haven't seen from him before. The timing is too perfect. This reeks of a coordinated effort to rebuild Bloodline dominance, and Drew McIntyre just became collateral damage in a storyline that, let's be honest, doesn't even need him. Drew's been establishing himself as a top babyface with legitimate championship aspirations, and WWE just fed him to the Bloodline machine to get Jacob Fatu heat. And before you type "it's just wrestling" in the comments, I know it's wrestling. That's exactly my point. Wrestling is supposed to have internal logic. Actions are supposed to have consequences. When you suspend someone for legitimate rule-breaking and dangerous behavior, bringing them back with zero explanation destroys the credibility of your authority figures and makes your entire management structure look incompetent. What's Nick Aldis supposed to do now? He's the general manager who can't even enforce his own suspensions. Every time he tries to discipline a superstar moving forward, they are just going to point at Jacob Fatu and say, "Why should we listen to you?" WWE has accidentally created a precedent where chaos is rewarded and authority is meaningless. Another question for you commenting below, and this one's crucial: should WWE have had Nick Aldis address this on camera immediately, or does the silent return make Fatu look even more dangerous? I'm genuinely torn on this one, so let me know where you stand. The social media reaction has been insane. Within minutes of this happening, Jacob Fatu was trending #1 worldwide on Twitter, excuse me, X. But here's what's fascinating: the fanbase is completely split. Half the responses are celebrating the return of one of the most athletically gifted big men in wrestling history. The other half is absolutely furious that Drew McIntyre was sacrificed for what feels like a nostalgia pop for the Bloodline. And both sides have valid points. Jacob Fatu is incredible. His combination of size, agility, and intensity is genuinely rare in professional wrestling. The man can do things that defy physics. When he's motivated and protected properly, he's absolutely main event caliber. Nobody's arguing against his talent. But talent doesn't excuse bad booking. Talent doesn't justify undermining your own storylines and authority figures. There were 1,000 different ways to bring Jacob Fatu back that would have made everyone look strong. They could have had him interrupt a Bloodline segment and make a statement about the family. They could have had him answer an open challenge from a heel who needed to be humbled. They could have even had him return during a battle royal or multi-man match where the chaos would have been expected. Instead, they chose to sacrifice Drew McIntyre's momentum, a momentum he's worked incredibly hard to build back after months away, just to give Fatu an impressive victim. That's lazy storytelling, and we as fans deserve better. Now, the rumor mill is already working overtime. Backstage reports suggest this return was planned only 72 hours ago, which would explain why it feels so abrupt and disconnected. There's speculation that a major Bloodline storyline is accelerating toward WrestleMania season, and Fatu's return is the first domino falling. Some reports even suggest Drew specifically volunteered to take this loss because he sees the long-term value in the program. If that last part is true, if Drew actually agreed to this, then maybe I'm wrong about everything. Maybe this is the beginning of something special that we'll look back on as genius booking. But based purely on what we saw tonight, without the benefit of future context, this feels like a momentum killer for one of WWE's most reliable performers. The medical update on Drew just came through, and according to WWE's official statement, he's suffering from multiple contusions and suspected rib injuries. He's being evaluated at a local medical facility, which in WWE language usually means he'll be back next week cutting a revenge promo. But the optics of this matter. The visual of Drew being stretched out while Jacob Fatu stands tall sends a very specific message about who WWE values more in this moment. Final question for the comments, and this is the big one: what should Drew McIntyre's response be next week? Does he demand a sanctioned match with Fatu? Does he go after Nick Aldis for allowing this to happen? Does he align with someone unexpected to even the odds? Your booking ideas in the comments might genuinely be better than what we're about to get. Look, I want to be excited about Jacob Fatu being back. I genuinely do. The man is phenomenal between the ropes, and WWE needs all the star power it can get. But this return left a sour taste because it came at the expense of someone who didn't deserve to be sacrificed. Drew McIntyre has earned better treatment than being a stepping stone for someone else's comeback. WWE needs to stick the landing on whatever they are building here, because right now, this feels less like masterful storytelling and more like we needed a viral moment and didn't care about the cost. What do you think? Am I overreacting, or is WWE disrespecting Drew McIntyre? Smash that like button, subscribe to Wrestling Zone 1 for more real talk about the wrestling business, and let's have a real conversation in the comments about what this means for SmackDown going forward.